Dude, this is episode 10 and it's just you and I. What the
We made it,
We
though.
made
We
it.
made it to
We
10.
made it to 10. Welcome to the Geeky A Go-Go podcast, a weekly podcast where we talk about all things geeky. Movies, TV shows, tech, comic books, cosplay, and more. If it has something to do with being a geek, we'll talk about it here. My name is Anthony Pizzuto. Let's get this party started. Joining me today in the Go-Go, the guy who showed up, Mr. Nitro Chris. Chris, it's just you and me today. What's going on? Where did everybody go?
We made it to the milestone episode 10, and this doesn't bode well for our longevity.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Well, you know what? That's okay. Depending on the popularity of this episode, we can just do a two-person show. Sorry, Eric. Sorry, Toots.
Addition by subtraction.
Yeah, I like that. You know what? That's what you get. That's what you get for not showing up. I mean, I know Eric is a big curling superstar now, and Toots is Toots. You know, so forget about them today. It's you and I, Nitro. So how's your week been? What you been up to?
Good. A little bit of refreshed, energized. You know, got some sleep in from weird shifts at work, but we had a absolute blast yesterday at the Northeast remnant of the 501st Legion awards dinner, our annual awards dinner. For the first time ever, we combined it with the Deveron base of the Rebel Legion, so it was award season spectacular in true award season fashion.
That is awesome. Did you take home any big prizes yourself for all the work that you do?
Yes, I personally created the awards, so I did make myself some awards. Well deserved. Pat myself on the back.
Good for you.
I did put in the work, but a big round of applause to all the actual milestone troopers that really get out there and get, spread the mission of the 501st and the Rebel Legions.
That's awesome. And for those of you listening who are not familiar with the 501st or the Rebel Legion, these are two international costuming groups. They are sanctioned by Lucasfilm, and they costume as Star Wars characters in the name of charity to drum up excitement for fundraisers, and they have an endowment for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So we drive excitement for the Star Wars universe through costuming. It's very cool. Well, congrats, Chris, on your self-proclaimed wins. I wish I had been there last night to see all of my brothers and sisters in the 501st win some prizes as well. I was a little down for the count. I think I talked about this on a couple episodes ago, but a pal of mine converted his Ford Explorer into a camper. And so we did that yesterday. And so yesterday was also the coldest day so far this winter at 18 degrees. I don't know what compelled us to be so foolish, but from 7 a.m. to about 4 p.m., we were out there ripping out chairs, installing new floorboards, installing a bed, installing shelving, all kinds of crazy stuff. But he hit the road around 4 o'clock yesterday, 4:30 yesterday, and so far, knock on wood, so good. He has a new super tiny mobile home, which is really cool. I unfortunately didn't get any footage for my YouTube channel, made by AP, only because when I build something, it usually takes me weeks because of all the setting up, and I get tired very quickly these days in my old age. And so just to make sure we pounded it out, we didn't film it. But Toots did swing by yesterday to see us fools in the cold building this thing. And he took some pictures, so I'll post a couple pictures on the Geeky A Go-Go page for this episode, so you can see me without my flip, completely beleaguered, and walking like a 90-year-old man because my back went out about halfway through. But I powered through to get this job done. And other than that, I was in North Carolina this week, where it's only about 10 degrees warmer than it is here right now. So, but it was a very productive, good week. I'm looking forward to just continuing to rest my body today. All right, Chris. Well, since it's just you and I, do you want to do a big, spectacular introduction to your favorite segment?
No. But I will anyway. So, for everyone watching at home, what you watching, Anthony? What are we watching this week, Anthony?
Oh, okay. Watching a lot. So it's SAG award season, so I'm kind of working my way through all the nominees so I can make an educated vote. So this week I watched 3 films. I watched Naiad, which is on Netflix, which was a super inspirational story. I was kind of aware of this when it was happening 10 years ago, but until the movie came out, I wasn't fully aware. But Naiad stars Annette Bening and Jodie Foster, and it's about Diana Naiad, who it took 5 attempts over 30 years to swim from Cuba to Key West, solo, without a shark net or anything like that. And she finally did it at the age of 64. Her first attempt was when she was 30 or 31 or something like that. And so it's just one of those really like inspirational, amazing stories, true story, obviously, about this woman just not giving up. And I loved it. So definitely check that out. It's on Netflix. I also watched, finally, Killers of the Flower Moon. It is a long movie, 3.5 hours. I forget how long Oppenheimer is. It's on the list, but this is 3.5 hours long. And but I will say, I was pretty captivated most of the time. It's a good story. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Lily Gladstone, who was phenomenal. I don't recall Lily Gladstone's previous work. But she plays Molly, who's kind of like the female protagonist of the story. But anyway, phenomenal acting, really wonderful, tragic story about yet another embarrassing moment in our history of America. But definitely check that one out. And even Martin Scorsese makes an appearance. Which was quite the surprise near the end. And Brendan Fraser makes a cameo as a lawyer. John Lithgow makes an appearance as a lawyer in this as well. But it's pretty much about Oklahoma and the oil and the Osage Indian tribe, and how pretty much how do I describe it? The white folk are trying to steal the money that the Osage Indian tribe is gaining off of their rights to the oil. And so it's a thriller, suspense, true crime type of story. It's really good. Definitely a long one. And then finally, I needed to break things up. This is definitely not nominated, but Moloch, which is a Swedish horror film. And it's in Swedish and English. And it's just like an eerie countryside on a bog type of ghost story, possession type of film. But it was a lot of fun to watch. Some good jump scares in it. Good story. I like a story with like mythology attached to it, or a history or a backstory attached to it. So yeah, definitely recommend that one. That was on Shudder on Amazon. So those are my 3 what you watchings this week. Nitro Chris, cool. What you watching? Very interesting. Yeah, right.
I'm gonna take a page out of the book of Tim or Toots, and I will go on over to YouTube this week. Not so much watching, because she has not posted a video in a very long time, so it's more of a shout out. I want to give a shout out to Physics Girl. She's been suffering from long COVID, and she's had a few people that I do watch on the regular. Simone Yetch and Smarter Every Day are the 2 YouTube channels that have posted updates over the last quite a few months, starting 10 months ago and a month ago. She just hasn't recovered from her bout of COVID and is really down for the count. So just an appeal to everybody. Hey, go watch her stuff. It's really cool stuff. If you love physics and science and whatnot, one of her videos, she solves the mystery of the moving stones out in the desert. You can see stones that have these very long trails behind them, and so things like that, and science tricks and all that. So if you're just a lover of science, and want to help somebody out, go watch her channel, Physics Girl, on YouTube.
That's a good reco. I'd not heard of her until you mentioned her. I will definitely give her a watch. She looks there. It looks like there's a lot of really, really, to your point, great content on here if you're into science. But I haven't even really watched much of it, but just kind of seeing a couple of quick clips. It looks like it's all very accessible information too. She's not like high school science teacher about it. She's like cool hip science teacher about it, which is neat. So yeah, I'll definitely check her out. Thank you for the reco. All right. So speaking of science, a couple weeks ago was the Consumer Electronics Show. So Chris, why don't we dive into this week's topic, which is CES 2024. So CES 2024 wrapped up its takeover of Las Vegas on January 12th and left us with some excellent things to look forward to in the world of consumer electronics. Now, none of us were cool enough to get to the Silver State. We all certainly were salivating over the news coming in from CNET and CNN and other tech sources. From see-through TVs to wearable tech and everything in between, we figured today we'd talk about the things we're most excited about picking up this year that came out of CES. So I was going through a bunch of the things on CNET before our recording today, and there really are some cool things. And one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is there's this Japanese company called InQs. It's I-N, lowercase I-N, capital Q, lowercase s, InQs, I guess. And they have developed almost like a stained glass solar panel, which is really cool. And we'll put a picture of it on the website, but it almost looks like a crystal embedded in some glass. And while this only can really power a desk fan at the moment, I've been wanting to get solar panels for our house. It's kind of, to be green, do good, save some money as well. But those solar panels are just ugly. They're so ugly. And I'm too vain to put up solar panels on my house. But if this company can create something as beautiful as that on a small scale, imagine what they can do at a bigger scale. And who knows, maybe we can finally get to that point where solar panels are aesthetically pleasing enough to the people who have been using that as an excuse to hold off on it to really drive some interesting change. And so, if you get the right look at the right price point, I think you can really drive adoption of these things. So really looking forward to seeing what they do with that. It looks super beautiful. And again, we'll leave a picture of it on the website. And another thing that I really liked is, so I travel, 50,000 miles a year. And I travel with my MacBook and my iPad, and that's pretty much it. But I practically work full time on the road. And when I'm at my office, though, I like the dual screen setup. And so Asus has this thing called the Zen screen. Yeah, did you have your eye on this one too, Chris? But it's
that was one of my picks. So yes, go ahead.
Sorry, man. Sorry. But it's a foldable 17-inch monitor, which just kind of tucks away into your bag. You can take it out, you can pair it with your computer, and it becomes a wireless, in essence, second monitor, which you can use on the road. Now, I will tell you. So I actually have an iPad Mini. I don't have a big boy iPad, and I do use that as my second monitor, but it's tiny. It's a super tiny. So just fantasizing about a 17-inch monitor that I can easily travel with is very exciting. So I believe that's coming out later in 2024. So I might put that on my Santa Claus wish list for this year. But those are my two things that I kind of gravitated towards in this. Chris, and I'm sorry I stole one of yours, but what did you have on your list?
piggyback off of that a little bit. What I travel with is I travel with a Surface Pro, just because it's light and it's versatile and it's Windows. Because that's what I'm comfortable with. That's what I prefer using. Not the greatest of Windows 11, but it works. It's native to like Word and Excel, the things that I work in primarily. But I do travel with a ViewSonic portable 14-inch monitor, so it works, right? But this all-in-one bundle thing, that's what really I was like, wow, that's really nifty, because the second monitor hides under the keyboard. So if I'm not using it, it's just there underneath and whatever. It's not a second peripheral I have to pull out, connect wires, and do all this other stuff. So yeah, that's why I was like, oh wow, that's the all-in-one thing. That's what really why I gravitated towards it.
Nice.
Couple things that I liked, that caught my eye. In the screen realm, we'll start with that. I think it's LG that has come out with a transparent display. Mm-hmm. I use the term "come out with" very loosely, because back in I want to say 2022 or 2021. When we were all bored out of our minds, being stuck at home, browsing the internet, looking for Halloween props and like how could I add that extra wow and pizzazz and whatnot. There was a couple that I discovered called Evan and Caitlin on YouTube, and they have this tutorial about how to make a transparent screen. And so I'm like, okay, how is this, okay, maybe it's like a consumer packagey thing where you don't have to make it yourself. But this is what it reminds me of. It's the LG, for anybody that hasn't seen it, it's a 77-inch transparent OLED TV that's made by LG. It's called the OLED T, OLED. And how they unveiled it was it looked like a traditional TV. And then all of a sudden, the black backing just scrolled down, and that's when it realized, oh, this is a transparent display. So it could be just a consumer package, and that's why it's debuted in 2024 and whatnot. But if you look for it, there's plenty of DIY projects. Displays are all actually transparent, but there's a backing to them that make them brighter and colors more fuller and whatnot. So it's not, it hasn't debuted this year. That's why I was like, oh, that's very interesting. I thought this existed already. It's the consumer package of it, I think, that they're selling. And again, being OLED, it's probably a lot clearer, the picture is more vibrant, and it's designed specifically to be transparent. Whereas if you do a DIY thing, you're literally ripping the backing off of the liquid crystal. And you'll have like a duller, less bright image, and that would still work, but the whole consumer package thing. Another product that caught my eye, which is in a funny way, the indoor, let me find it. The GE, it's called the GE Profile Smart Indoor Smoker. Right? I do love the smoked meats, as Mr. Zuckerberg has taught us. But an indoor smoker is very it's a thing. I'm like, okay, like I guess people want to do that. It's definitely a splurge for how big it is and the fact what it does. They're quoting it around $1,000. I think I bought my outdoor smoker for like $400 or $500, something like that, and it's much bigger than this thing. But the reviewer that I read the article from, he says it worked. There's no smoke at all.
Oh wow!
Right. So they have a great filtration system. The seams are like completely sealed. Which is good for a smoker. You want that because you don't want the smoke to escape. You want it to get infused in whatever you're cooking. So the fact that they made an indoor model, it's not for everybody, obviously. Price point is way too high, in my opinion, for what you need to do. But if you enjoy it so much that you don't want weather to get in your way and you want to splurge on something, definitely a buy for whoever wants to do that. But yeah, just a nifty thing. And lastly, along the lines of what you were saying with the solar panels and whatnot. It was, let's see, I had it right here. And I scrolled way past it. It's a battery backup generator made by EcoFlow. There's a few companies that are coming out with this stuff, but this one looked really cool to me because it's scalable. So I think how it works. I haven't looked too much into it. It's probably super pricey anyway. It probably has some kind of I'm forgetting the word right now. Some kind of unit on the top, and beneath it is a battery. But you can add more batteries. So if you need more power, you need power for longer, whatever, you have this stack of batteries. I can't answer first because one of the big knocks is like, who wants a stack of lithium-ion batteries in their house that could potentially catch fire and whatnot? I can't answer for any of that stuff. It just looks really cool to me, is that you have this scalable technology in your home. You don't have this loud, noisy generator in the back of your house. It can connect to the grid, so it can pull energy from the grid. It doesn't rely on solar panels, but you can use solar panels. It's very like they thought about everything, right?
Nice.
What if your solar panels aren't working, but you still need power? And, so to me, it looked like a really good package. Price point is probably much cheaper than screwing panels into your house. I'm looking here; it says $5,800 for something like starter low end. Yeah, I thought it was a really cool product from EcoFlow, whole home battery backup. The EcoFlow Delta Pro Ultra is what it's called.
So you're gonna get one?
Probably not.
That
I would love to.
That is a big battery. That is a huge thing. Yeah. And I like. I mean, it looks just looking at the picture of it, and we'll obviously put pictures up on the website. It looks like almost like a carry-on luggage. Like it's so big. That is a big battery.
They're saying they weigh like 200 pounds or so, like each.
That's crazy.
But there was like some introductory thing. If you were like one of the first people, it comes with like a trolley or something like that. So, but like you said, it looks like a carry-on luggage. So if anybody's familiar with a hand truck and how easy it is to move heavy things with a hand truck around, you're not lifting 200 pounds. Right. It's all you're using leverage and doing all that stuff. So, yeah.
So thoughts on going back to the transparent television, thoughts on watching a movie with the transparent screen. And I don't think I've seen any of the footage in earnest yet on that one. But what do you think? Do you think it'll be distracting? Do you think it'll be additive? Will it be so interesting that you don't even really notice it? Any thoughts on that?
I had a buddy who shared, and this is kind of like one of the bigger draws out of CES this year, but I wasn't fully committed to it. The augmented reality glasses, or they're saying the XR/AR/VR stuff. Yeah. Like I'm not into that realm too much. I'm excited to see what comes out of it when the dust finally settles. I think it's still too early. Technology wise for wide adoption, it's more of like a like splurge kind of thing. But I have a buddy who has one of those AR glasses. I shouldn't say AR, but I don't even know what the word is. It's literally a screen in front of your face. Like that's how I would call it. Maybe that's what XR is. I have no idea. Quality. It's you're watching stuff in like 480p. That's how I felt. It really can give you a headache if you're constantly focusing back and forth, because you're literally focusing right in your eye and then you're focusing far if you're trying to do multitask things. He said he primarily uses it when he travels, or he's stationary and he wants to do that one thing. Sure. And when he's doing that, it comes with like blackout. Oh, okay. Backing. Yeah. So it's a pair of sunglasses that you're putting visors on your face. Yeah. So you're basically getting a screen right up to your eyeball. Got it. If that makes sense. Yeah. Interesting. I think kind of that's where the technology is right now. Like transparent screens is kind of like if you're walking through a mall, oh, that's nifty. Like I need to, like, I don't think they're going to be interactive. Like, I don't think they're touch screens.
Yeah.
Like, does that make sense? I think that's where we are right now. Like, once we get to interactive touchscreens and stuff like that, I think that's when it start really catching on. But right now, it's just eye candy. I think it hasn't matured enough as a technology to really like say, oh, you know what, this is going to be widespread use from everyone.
And so having one of these in your living room, with the LG, I forget what it was called, the OLED transparent screen, which you can get get one at B&H Photo and Video for $15,000 for 55-inch full HD transparent OLED. Holy cow, $15,000. So you feel though that, and I agree. I feel like the transparent TV screens like the one at CES is a novelty. I like the full cinematic experience. I like the blackest blacks, that used to be the big thing, 10 years ago or whatever it was. So, trying to think, and like the back wall in my den is like wood paneling. And so I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that behind a Star Destroyer coming across my television. So I'm very curious to see like what the consumer adoption of something like that will be. And then, agreed on the glasses, like, this, like the Google Glass. And now I know Ray-Ban has the Meta. It's like a Meta partnership. You can go to Target Optical and try them on there, but it wasn't very interactive, to your point. So I wasn't too much of a fan. Any thoughts on Apple's VR headset that I think was, no, you're not an Apple guy.
So besides that, right? Besides that, right? We'll talk about it in another episode because we could dedicate a whole segment to that. And this is quite like mid last year I started hearing this stuff is like tech pundits that I listen to, that I watch, that I read. They were saying that internally Apple employees were like, do not release this thing. It's not ready for prime time. This is not something we should be pushing. This, like, it's not. The price point is way too high. It's tethered in the sense that they're displacing the battery, so it's like you have to wear like a waist battery or something like that, so there's less weight on your head. That's what I understood.
Okay.
I could be wrong on all these counts, but that's what I've heard. It's like the price point is way too high for what it is.
Sure.
Right, and it's an industry that people are struggling to make mainstream. So it's like to go into the arena and be like, hey, buy our thing now, and we know you're all fanboys and you're going to spend the money anyway, but people are going to spend the money probably and not use it.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a flop. So it's an industry that I think is still growing. It will find its footing over time, but it's like something has to like click and be like, it has to be cheap enough. It has to be like, this is going to replace my cell phone. Something groundbreaking and be like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. I mean, I have a Meta Quest 2, and I've used it 5 times in the year and a half, 2 years that I've had it. So I'm with you. I think it still has a ways to go. Apple designs beautiful product. I think if they can figure it out, they will do well in the space. But if Facebook/Meta hasn't figured this out yet, I'm very curious. Yes, I'm with you. I'm very curious to see like what adoption looks like. Will people actually use it? The marketing for it is beautiful. If you go to the Apple Vision Pro, page on apple.com, I mean, it's everything that you want in a VR headset, but that's marketing. That's what marketers do. And so, agreed. Too soon to tell. I think it releases, you can start buying it February 2nd, I believe. I thought I saw something where it said February 2nd. So we shall see in the next few months what adoption of that looks like. Last question on CES. Flying electric taxis. Thoughts?
It can work in rural areas.
Okay.
In my opinion, right?
Yeah.
When you get into really congested airspace, a la New York City, LAX, any big metropolis, right? Does the public really want these, let's call them cars, flying cars, 2-ton things? I don't know how much they weigh. They could be lighter, they could be heavier. I have no idea. But let's call them a car. Car is about 2 tons. So 2-ton things. Do you want these things that are automated and or piloted and or whatever flying over your house constantly, right? We already have the issues with helicopters. Helicopters aren't foolproof, and the technology's been around forever. Those things still do crash, right? The explosion of like, oh, we're going to make automated routes and they're going to be, pilotless and this and that. And I'm like, do you really want one of those anywhere near a passenger jet with like 400 people on it, 300 people on it? I don't know, man. Like, it's there, right? It's proven the technology works, but integrating it into the airspace system of the world in general, I don't know, man. But if you live in like Western New Jersey, where your choices are drive 2 hours to Newark or drive 2 hours to Allentown, which is not the case. It's like an hour each way. Right. Think of something even more remote than that, like just some city or state where like the population is so low. Right. And to get to, hey, I want to fly to Japan. Well, you got to take 2 connecting flights, and it's like, it's long enough to get there. And you're like, I need to add another day to my trip just to get there. Again, I don't know distance, I don't know speeds, I don't know all that stuff, but I think the use case is more there. I personally would like to see bullet trains, right, instead of this. Yeah. I think those have more of a potential to serve people en masse than congesting our airways. Yep.
Yeah, agreed.
What are your thoughts?
I'm with you. I would much rather see investment, yes, in advancing public transportation to remove cars from the road. I would also like to see advancements and investments in technology for autonomous vehicles or autonomously driven vehicles, because I think the challenge with driving today is humans. And if you can make a machine, I mean, it's astounding. I'll be in traffic on 24 heading to 287, and I'll look over and someone's literally watching a TV show on their iPhone on their dashboard. It's like, dude, you're driving right now. What the hell is going on? But that's not a one-time incident. There are millions of people who do that. And so investing in technologies that get people off the road, and investing in technologies that make, when you have to be on the road, less reliant on the human factor, I think it'll make us faster. I think it'll reduce, obviously it'll have positive environmental impacts. So yeah, I would much rather see people spend their time on that versus flying cars. To your point, we already have congested airspace, especially in these metropolitan areas like New York, New Jersey. And so yeah, I'm with you on that. But I do have to say that their flying taxi looks really cool. So I'll give them that much. All right. Well, before we wrap up today's episode 10, our milestone episode, and we're the last two standing. Chris, what are you looking forward to this week?
Nothing serious. We do have a new convention coming up in a couple weeks, so not this week. I'll save it for next week, that con.
Ooh, okay.
But this week, nothing really. I have just a flashback to junior high, maybe elementary school. I don't remember the time frame, but I did put Goosebumps in my queue on Disney Plus. So I'm interested to see, is it, I'm not a huge fan of Justin Long, but he's definitely a good actor. He's very comedic. I like him. I didn't mean that in a negative way about the huge fan. I'm not a fanboy, I should say. That's the word. I'm curious to see, like, is it episodic by books? Because I saw a couple of like still images. I was like, oh, that's from that book, but that's from that book. So like, I think maybe they've combined like a whole series of the books and put them all into one season over one storyline instead of separate storylines. So like, just like I said, there's a little bit of nostalgia back to when I was a kid reading what's the word, YA books.
Awesome. This will be so. I was out all last week, so it'll be nice to get some desk time in this week and catch up on my ridiculously gross inbox. I'm hoping, so my Millennium Falcon build is coming to an end, which is exciting because it's been a 3-year journey. And so I'm only like a few desk hours away from finishing it. Then I have to paint it, of course, which will take another 3 years. But at least the build will be completed. So I'm very excited about that. And then this coming weekend, I have a film shoot. I was cast in a short film, SAG, ultra low budget. I'm playing a android, which is going to be very cool. And so it's been moving around, so I'm excited that we finally have our shoot date, or at least, I got an email last night saying they're just confirming the set for this weekend. So hopefully when we record next week, I can talk about all that because it's been a while since I've filmed anything and got paid for it, so which is nice. So yes, definitely looking forward to that, and then also continuing to chip away at the SAG Award nominee films. There's a lot of them. I'm dreading Oppenheimer. I know it's going to be great, but it is a commitment. So, yeah.
I highly recommend, like, Oppenheimer, like you were talking about the Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, you're engrossed in it the entire time. The acting is phenomenal. The pacing is phenomenal. It's like, if you could watch it with people, like you can feel the electricity in the room, really? Or the nuclear energy in the room, so to speak. So I definitely recommend that you do get to it. Don't dread it at all.
Okay, all right. So maybe I'll watch that tonight if I can convince Daria to watch it with me. Even though I'll watch it by myself too. So, all right. Well, that is all we have this week. So make sure you follow us everywhere at Geeky A Go Go. Thank you, Chris, for your time today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and rest of your week. Eric and Tim, I hope you're listening to this. We need the downloads, dudes. And hope to see you guys next week. And thank you all so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe or follow the podcast on your favorite platform. And please leave us a review. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it does help us reach more and more people. Until next time, you stay geeky, Internet.
Bye.